Welcome to AmA Media.2.0. I hope you find here what you were looking for. Thumbs up the video, share and subscribe if you haven't yet. Now let's get it. Enjoy. Mother and child. In the Netherlands one can at least be at ease. Have you read Uncle Tony's Cabin? But what a question. Who hasn't read that book? You are indignant about the scenes painted in it. And you involuntarily think of our colonies, especially of Suriname. But don't worry. The condition of the slaves there, under Dutch rule, is quite a bit more tolerable and happier than that of their wretched compatriots in America. It would always be desirable that slavery should be brought to an end by a careful emancipation. But where the serfs are thus taken care of, there is no need to rush oneself, and one can safely await the time when the emancipation can take place without injury to any interest and without shocks. What, for example, has struck you more than the depiction of misery and horrors that result in the American states from the separation of parents and children? Well, in Suriname it is forbidden. In this and similar way one tries to put the conscience of the Dutch nation back to sleep as soon as it awakens. With a triumphant attitude you are referred to the words spoken in 1850 by the Minister of the Colonies. Slaves, said he, during their mother's life and so long as they belong to the slave class, may never be sold, bartered, given away, or in any other way passed into the property of a third person apart from these, as this in return may not take place with the mother apart from her children. So that children with their mother, or the mother with her children, can never be otherwise than simultaneously and always associated with one and the same person, under whatever title that alienation may take place. In Suriname, mother and child are not allowed to be separated. But we do understand each other. Parents is not mentioned, only the mother. Why? Well, slaves have no relatives. Slaves have only a mother, no father. Slaves do not marry, nor do dogs and horses. Do you have a slave girl? Well, you have about her the same rights as about your pets. You cause her to be impregnated by whomever you will, and the fruit is your own. It is true, some slaves who are Christians, before they come together, have their quasi-marriage blessed by the Herrnhutters, but that is their business. That does not deprive me of the right to destroy again tomorrow, if I like, that linkage. Even if it is consecrated by the slave, even if he has also begotten children by the slave woman, so that he may never see either of them again, the children then stay with the mother. I may not separate them. That's true. Slaves have no blood relatives. Do you want any proof that this maxim is also true in Suriname, and is recognized as such by the judiciary? Recently, a well-known practice in Paramaribo, in a large group gathered in one of the most respectable houses in the city, narrated the following very nice legal case. A certain director of a plantation had a special affection for two serfs belonging to that plantation, both brothers from the same mother and the same father. By disposition of will he decreed that both should be ransomed, and that each should receive a bequest from his estate. After his death this provision was unreasonably enforced, so far as the freedom of the two brothers is concerned. They were set free and received two different names, one of Jan Pollen, the other of Herman van Zande. However, before the bequests were paid, the latter dies. The executors in the estate of the deceased director were about to pay Jan Pollen also the bequest of his deceased brother, when by chance a lawyer became aware of the matter. He advised, slaves have no blood relatives. Before emancipation, therefore, the two brothers were strangers to each other. By emancipation, of course. No relationship of blood relationship can arise between completely foreign persons. That is why the remaining Jan Stufmeel has no claim to the inheritance of the deceased Herman van Zande. And this advice was acted upon. Terribly unjust, said a pretty young lady, hearing the story. But that is not at all true, ma'am, replied the practical. The case has been dealt with entirely according to Roman law, and I assure you, the Romans knew what law is better than we do, especially when the question of law concerns slaves. Slaves have no relations by blood, but then it is after all a proof of extraordinary kindness, of unheard of weakness towards the slaves, that the law in Suriname forbids to separate the mother from her children. Prevent him from selling the mother and the children separately, when he can benefit from it. So AmA thanks you for tuning in. Please leave a comment. Grant AmA until the next video. Peace and much love to all. So lobby.